This is ESPN Esports. He's Jacob Wolf. I'm Arda Ocal. The numbers have been released for the 2019 League of Legends World Championship, and they are impressive. A 21.8 million average minute audience, 44 million peak concurrent viewers. These are global numbers. The LCS also released numbers saying they are the third most popular major professional sports league among 18 to 34-year-olds in the United States. This is based off of a live AMA of 124K. Jacob, do any of these numbers surprise you at all?
Not at all. I mean, every single year we've seen the League of Legends World Championship get bigger and bigger and bigger. Our colleague Tyler Erzberger was reporting that they had more than 100 million unique eyeballs on the event. That has not been released by Riot, but based off the math, that is certainly probable based off what they just put out. You know, the interesting thing about this year is that ESL, Riot, and Activision Blizzard all partnered with Nielsen to start measuring average minute audience because that is the most comparable stat to a TV rating, right? Obviously, that's beneficial when you're dealing with advertisers who buy TV ads. If they understand the number a little bit better than just peak concurrence, then they're able to sort of gauge what their media value would be on a deal. So that partnership with Nielsen is sort of standardizing across the board. But this is not surprising to me. I mean, League of Legends is the biggest esports in the world. Everyone knows that, and you can't dispute that. It's particularly massive in China. And looking at this number, I came away not surprised one single bit.
So obviously there are problems. I mean, I'm sure that this may not be the case here, but obviously there are always concerns about inflated numbers, view bots, etc. Does Nielsen help mitigate that?
I mean, I still think that some of these numbers are going to generally be a little bit inflated, but I think if we're like comparing them to the rest of the industry, then I think they're fine because I think everybody's going to inflate just a little bit.
So just to give an idea on how League of Legends, at least the World Championship numbers have grown in 2014, and Tyler Erzberger did tweet this, 2014 was 27 million, 2016 was 43 million, last year was 99.6 million. So if Tyler is correct, this would be the first time that we would see audience numbers in the 9 figures, which is extremely impressive here. Going to the LCS now as well, the third most popular major professional sports team among 18 to 34-year-olds, a coveted audience there. Rick Fox recently said, we're coming for the Super Bowl. I know that comparison always gets made, but this growth, this trajectory, it's very interesting, Jacob, considering where the economics are, right? Like, it's at least what's being reported or what's out there, it's still more expensive to buy an Overwatch League team than it is to buy a slot in the LCS.
Yeah, and that's a problem. I think that the Overwatch League set an incredibly high expectation. In their first season, they sold franchises for $20 million across the board, so $240 million in franchise fees. In their second season, they sold franchises anywhere from $35 to $60 million, depending on what your market was in and the number of bidders, etc. But here's the thing. LCS franchises cost anywhere from 10 to 13 million. The LEC franchises, if you do the math conversion from the euro, cost somewhere in that ballpark too, the 10 to 13 million dollar ballpark. And there's no way, I think Riot could have easily sold those for more. I think that if they would have priced up to 20 or they would have priced up to even 30, a lot of people would have applied anyway because of League of Legends sort of relevance in the space. But if you compare that to an Overwatch League franchise, there's no way you can argue the value of the Overwatch League franchise on a global perspective. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. The Overwatch League franchises do include the local events, right? There is a way to make more money than you would as an LCS team because the economics are inherently different. But if there aren't people that are watching online, then there aren't going to be people that are showing up to events. So if you look at the Grand Finals viewership for the Overwatch League, the global AMA for the Grand Finals was 1.12 million. Riot nearly 20 times them.
Now take away the Overwatch fee for a team. The price tag currently for an LCS slot, do you think based off of these numbers that is a number that will stay the same? Will it increase in your opinion, or will it stay the same across the board?
It'll increase. So this year we saw LCS teams go anywhere from $30 to $33 million. In the case, 3 of them sold essentially, but 2 of them were just League of Legends, and that was Clutch Gaming and the Echo Fox slot. I think that's fair, right? Like they started off at 10 million to 13 million bucks, and they've scaled up over 2 years. The league has continued to grow itself. The game has continued to stay very relevant. So I think that they will continue to rise, but I think they're rising gradually. If a $20 million increase over 2 years happened, then that's fair. But that is not the Overwatch League 1 year increase of 15 million. But again, the Overwatch thing is arbitrary, and so when you look at them and compare them, I think that Overwatch League set a really high expectation. League of Legends set a number that made their expectation fair, just in case things didn't work out, and clearly it has worked out, and things have continued to grow. So I think we will see gradual increase. I don't anticipate for there to be like a massive spike, but I think they'll continue. I mean, I think that the League of Legends Championship Series will probably expand in the next few years. And at that point, I would expect probably franchises to be somewhere in the 35 to 45 million bucks range. And I think that's about fair.
How many teams do you think will be in the LCS in 5 years?
12 to 14, somewhere in there. I think
Really?
Whatever the next expansion will be, we'll see 2 more.
Interesting. You don't think more? You don't think we could get up to, say, 20 teams?
I think we could if we wanted to, but I don't think there's a need for it right now. I think the 12 to 14 is nice, and it will keep people competitive, right? Like this offseason, we saw a bunch of talent go unsigned that have played in North America before, including North American domestic talent that could compete in the LCS realistically. And so I think that gradually expanding, making sure every team has a shot. I think that's important, and I think that's what's going to happen. We're going to see it expand in the next 3 years. I would say probably to 12.
So keeping with the LCS in particular, I mean, like I said, this is a coveted demographic, 18 to 34-year-olds, being the third most popular major professional sports league, right? These numbers are higher than some of what we would consider the top 4 sports, right? Baseball, basketball, hockey, and football. So
Sure.
Those franchises, just looking at NHL for an example, those franchises go for hundreds of millions of dollars. And so I wonder, I guess, using that as sort of the mindset here, how high can League of Legends go? If this growth continues in 5 to 6 years, what kind of conversations are we going to be having revolving these leagues?
You know, it's interesting. I think that, so here's the thing, like baseball is inarguably on the decline, right? Especially when you look at the number that they're comparing themselves to among the sports leagues is that 18 to 34 demographic, and that is coveted, right? You said that earlier, and that's the key word, is coveted demographic. Because those people are going to be watching this game for the rest of their lives, most likely. It's very unlikely that the majority of them phase out. But that's what's happening with baseball. Baseball is its average viewer is very high. Football has had its little ups and downs. The NFL has had its ups and downs in viewership over the years. Basketball is slowly increasing. I think hockey will slowly increase as well because it's becoming more, I guess, watched in the U.S. and people are more interested in the U.S. Obviously, you know this. It's a game that's very popular in Canada, and it's growing here in America. There's a sports changing landscape, and the big thing is about the money. Not the valuations, right? Valuations are sort of, it's taking investment and buying teams, and all of that is investing in something. I'm talking about actually making profits. You got to get to that point, right? And we're not quite there yet. The LCS definitely did a better job this year with partnerships than they did previous year. The thing is about making advertisers understand what they're buying, getting them comfortable buying this demographic. That's why 18 to 34 really matters. And advertising in that graphic and or demographic, and also just making them understand what they're buying. I mean, advertisers don't know League of Legends; they just see those numbers and they're very interested in it, right?
Sure.
So you got to get them comfortable to the point where like the league is significantly making money before you start going out there and really like jacking that price higher. But like I said, gradual increase is good. We don't need it to skyrocket through the roof yet. We need it to just continually to grow, it not fall down, and we don't want to see an increase in these or decrease in these numbers in 2020. We want to see a gradual increase, and I think that it's done that over the last 2 years. I think it will continue. So I do think that there's a world one day where the biggest sports in the world are esports, soccer, and basketball, given how global they are, each of them. And I think that world is not too far off.
I think that just the fact that the LCS can say the third most popular major professional sports league among 18 to 34-year-olds, I feel like that's going to open the eyes of many for lack of a better term, non-endemic brands and sponsors and advertisers. I feel like that is an appealing enough phrase to use in a sales deck such that people will open their eyes and want to learn more about League of Legends. My question to you is, I mean, there's already some great brands that are partnering with the LCS already, right? Some major brands, some worldwide, globally recognized brands. My question is, at how many years or at what point, like, what do you think these particular statistics that we saw released recently that we just talked about, how much of an inflection point is this? Are we still going to be in the mode where esports are misunderstood, where people don't necessarily understand it? Or have we reached the point now where really everyone is going to want to start to pay attention here, and brands are really going to start to think seriously about where they put their dollars as it pertains to, in particular here, League of Legends? Has that conversation happened now, or is that still a ways away?
I feel like it's ongoing, right? I think every single year more people understand it. You know, I have family who didn't get it at all, and now they get it a little bit more because they've paid attention over time as I've worked in this space. And I think that that's being said for everyone. You know, even in our own company, I've seen that, and we're obviously a major sports brand. But I think that's going to continue across the board for everyone. I think that as years go by, more people will understand the relevance of esports, and that the conversation is ongoing. I don't know if we've reached a point where it's going to magically flip the switch, but this year, 2019 and 2018 were both very good because things like Fortnite, right? And everybody has a kid. Anybody who's over the age of 40 has a kid that plays Fortnite. And I think that is sort of, or a grandkid that plays Fortnite. And it means that the relevance of esports and gaming are incredibly increasing. And Fortnite is a big part of that. But I think in terms of long-term investment, League of Legends has given people a reason to continue to invest. It's been around for 10 years now as a game. The esports scene has been around for now 9 seasons. So I think that it's going to continue, and that if you're looking to invest long-term and make a bet, it seems like that and Counter-Strike are the ones to make it on, because both games have had staying power for a very long time.
So those are our thoughts on the recent numbers that have been released regarding League of Legends. Let us know in the comments below what you think this all means. Third most popular major sports league, does that mean anything to you at all? Do you think that this will usher in a new era of increased sponsorship and increased viewership? Will League of Legends ever become the most popular sport in North America or even the world? Let us know in the comments below. And of course, continued coverage available at espn.com/esports.